Welcome to your new obsession, where every episode is packed with tools and science to help you become the best version of yourself. Whether you're a biohacking newbie or a seasoned pro, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome back to the Biohacking Trainer Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Czaplewski, longevity enthusiast, personal trainer, and fellow biohacker. And today we're diving into a topic that affects every single one of us every day, whether we realize it or not, our environment. When most people think about health optimization, they think about nutrition, exercise, supplements, or maybe even sleep. But what if some of the biggest factors influencing your energy, your recovery, your mood, and overall health are things that you are exposed to constantly on a day-to-day basis? Today we're talking about environmental biohacks, specifically light, air, water, and EMFs. These are 4 areas that can either support your biology or slowly work against it, depending on how they're managed. The good news, most of these changes are simple, affordable, and can have a surprisingly large impact on how you feel. So let's jump right into it. Now, one of the bigger mistakes that I do see people make is essentially underestimating the importance of light. So your body has an internal clock known as your circadian rhythm, and this system regulates your sleep, your hormones, your energy production, your metabolism, recovery, and your immune function. And the primary driver of that clock is light exposure. Most of us wake up and immediately expose ourselves to artificial indoor lighting while spending the majority of our day indoors. Our ancestors did the exact opposite. One of the simplest biohacks you can implement is getting outside within 30 to 60 minutes of waking up. Even 5 to 10 minutes of natural sunlight exposure can improve your alertness, improve your mood, help regulate cortisol levels. It can help support melatonin production later that evening. The key thing that people don't realize is that morning sunlight doesn't just help you wake up, it helps you sleep better 12 to 6 hours later. Now, on the flip side of things, excessive blue light exposure at night can certainly disrupt melatonin production and negatively impact sleep quality. Now, some very practical and simple strategies you can utilize are essentially getting sunlight within that first hour of waking, like we talked about. Try to work near windows when possible. As you can see, I always try to work and do my podcast nearby my windows. Dim lights after sunset, so trying to dim the lighting in your house or your apartment. Limit your screen exposure before bedtime. So my big thing when it comes to screen exposure, I try to turn off my cellular devices, or I just try to put them on the chargers at least 2 hours ahead of time. So that way I'm spending the last hour before falling asleep just reading a book, or in my own case, just talking to my wife. And another thing is to consider blue light blocking glasses in the evening. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, the podcast, I have glasses on. Fortunately, these ones are not blue light blocking. However, I do try to utilize some blue light blocking glasses, especially in the evening when I'm working on things for my role with my fitness and wellness center that I'm a part of, or for my PhD program. Now, remember, your body doesn't know it's 10 p.m. because of the clock. It knows this because of the light signals it's receiving. Now let's talk about something we do over 20,000 times every day without thinking about it. Breathing. Air quality is one of the most overlooked components of health. Now, poor indoor air quality has been linked to reduced cognitive performance, increased inflammation, respiratory issues, poor sleep quality, and fatigue. Now, think about how much time most people spend indoors, right? Whether it's at home, whether it's at the office, if you work indoors in a office, or even in my case in a fitness facility like a gym. That's a lot of time we spend indoors. As well, being inside of your car, right? Yet very few people know the quality of the air that they're breathing. So some simple biohacks can include fresh air circulation from opening your windows that can dramatically reduce indoor pollutant buildup. Using HEPA air purifiers, especially if you have allergies, you live in urban environments, you have pets, or you experience respiratory issues. You can also add plants into your environments. Now, from a work standpoint, that might be a bit tough to do, depending on what the rules and regulations are within your office. But at home, adding more plant life, they're not necessarily magical air cleaners, but plant life can contribute to a healthier indoor environment and improve perceived air quality. Now, another cool hack that you can always do is practice nasal breathing. So nasal breathing is essentially going to help filter air, humidify air. It's also going to improve oxygen efficiency, and it's going to increase nitric oxide production. That's why you see so many people now doing that mouth taping to try to enhance more of that nasal breathing at sleep and just try to do more nasal breathing in general. But a lot of this I'd just like to bring to the forefront because sometimes just the simplest biohacks are learning how to breathe properly. Now, most people do think about water typically only in the terms of hydration, but water quality does matter too. So our bodies are approximately 60% water, and every biological system depends on it. Some considerations can include filtration. So depending on where you live, tap water may contain chlorine, heavy metals, PFAs, and agricultural runoff. So using a good quality filtration system can help reduce exposure to contaminants. I know in some cases Britas may not be the best. If you can do a reverse osmosis filter on your home unit, or you name it, a good quality filtration system is essential. Now, mineral content, a lot of people focus on drinking more water, but overlook the electrolytes and minerals in their water. Now, water alone isn't always enough. Key minerals for electrolyte balance does come from magnesium, potassium, sodium, and calcium. These are essentially going to help support nerve function, muscle contraction, and hydration status. There's so many different electrolyte packets out there. Basically, I always suggest one with lower sugar, but high in these key mineral areas like magnesium, potassium, sodium, and calcium are some of the most effective electrolyte supplements. Now, hydration timing is a big consideration too. So try drinking water earlier in the day and reduce intake immediately before bed to minimize, say, nighttime disruption. So what I always advise is try to have a glass of water right next to your nightstand. However, if you do have a pet, especially a cat, in my own personal case, they do tend to like to try to drink out of your water. So if you can have, say, a covered cup, or try to make sure you get up and you have, say, an empty cup next to your nightstand. You go get yourself up out of bed and go fill it up with some fresh water and drink 1 cup of water to start your day. That makes a huge difference. And, one thing I always like to remind people is hydration isn't just about quantity. It's about the quality and the timing of your hydration status and how much water you're taking in. Now, let's tackle one of the most controversial topics in biohacking too. So, EMFs, or electromagnetic fields. Now, whenever we discuss EMFs, it's important to separate evidence from fear. So, EMFs are generated by cell phones, Wi-Fi routers, Bluetooth devices, power lines, and electronics. So, a lot of the current research remains a bit mixed regarding the long-term health effects of low-level EMF exposure. There is a constant ongoing debate in the scientific community, and many questions remain unanswered. Now, rather than taking an extreme position, I prefer a more practical risk reduction approach. So, some simple habits that I tend to recommend are, for one, don't sleep with your phone under your pillow. This is probably a good idea regardless of EMFs, especially if you have your phone plugged in to an outlet. I would not advise having that underneath your bed or underneath your pillow. I would say try to have that put off on a nightstand a little ways away. I know you may be concerned about making sure you get up in time, but it doesn't hurt just to turn the volume up on your ringers for your early morning wake up. Now, the use of speakerphone or headphones for long calls, I would say to utilize this to reduce more direct exposure near the head of holding the cellular device directly up to your head. If you can hold it onto a speakerphone and hold the phone away from you, or if you do have headphones, wired headphones, and you can connect to the phone for more of those longer phone calls, that would be best advised. Definitely keep devices off of your body when possible. So avoid carrying phones in pockets all day if you can. One thing I'll do in my own case, because I do a lot of personal training still, I like to leave my phone in my office, or even when I'm training, when I'm playing music off of my phone onto the speaker, I will set my phone off to the corner of the room where it's not directly on my body. Now, another great hack too is turning off unnecessary devices at night. This was going to essentially also improve your sleep by reducing notifications and distractions. Whether EMFs prove to be a major issue or not down the road, these habits are generally low cost and low risk. I think the bigger lesson here is intentionality. Most people are constantly surrounded by technology without ever considering how it's affecting their sleep, focus, or essentially their recovery. Now, if you're looking for the biggest return on investment, here's where I would start. So for one, get your morning sunlight daily. Number 2, improve your sleep environment. Next, I would say use an air purifier in your bedroom. Then I would say filter your drinking water as best as possible. If you can do reverse osmosis in your home, that's best. But just make sure you have a good quality filtration system. Next, I would say practice nasal breathing. You don't have to go to the extreme of full-fledged mouth taping for sleep if you're a little weary of it, but just practice more intentional nasal breathing as opposed to mouth breathing. Limit artificial light exposure at night, so try to dim your lights. And lastly, I would say create technology-free periods throughout your day. Try to get away from the phones, the tablets, etc. Try to have a bit more time to yourself if you can, and away from the notifications and distractions and from any potential EMF exposure from your cellular devices. So for all this, you don't need any expensive gadgets to optimize your environment. Many of the highest impact biohacks are completely free. So your environment is constantly communicating with your biology. Every day your body responds to the light you're exposed to, the air you breathe, the water you drink, and the technology surrounding you. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is awareness and making small improvements that compound over time. So if you pick one environmental biohack from today's episode and implement it this week, see how you feel. Track your energy, sleep, recovery, and focus. If you have a wearable, track it. See how that affects your week. Now, as always, if you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with someone who's interested in optimizing their health naturally. And as always, thank you for tuning into the Biohacking Trainer podcast. And until next time, stay healthy, stay curious, and we'll see you next time.